Hello traders, how are you doing? Today is Sunday, October 30th, 2016. My local time is almost 10 a.m. And GMT time is, I believe, after this switch of the time, it should be 4 p.m. GMT time, almost. I just wanted to upload this video. I was commenting the latest webinar that I was going to just update through my Google Plus account what I ultimately decided to do with the long cable trade that we opened a few days ago. But I just decided to, instead of that, upload a video. Well, in this case, it's pretty much only an audio file. The question is this, just wanted to let you know that actually I led the trade exactly the way it was. I was commenting that either I was going to decide to close it, or to, if I decided to keep it open, to change the stop loss below the 1.2 level. But actually what I decided is to kept it open, but preserving the stop loss at the, if I'm not wrong, a little bit below the 121 zone. Why? Because at the ending of the day we had a very nice bullish movement on the trade up to the 1.22. Actually, at this moment the price is at 121.92. So I just decided to let it run and to let the stop loss there. I was commenting the latest webinar that I was seeing that actually Russia was starting to scale down a little bit the belligerent speech that the United States and Russia has been having lately. But apparently, for some reason, Vladimir Putin is starting to de-escalate a little bit the speech. And actually that happened during the weekend. We had some comments by Vladimir Putin saying, trying to maybe de-escalate a little bit all this mess that is happening in Syria. And it depends now on the United States how they manage this gesture from the president of the Russian Federation. So since the latest webinar, I anticipated that I was starting to see some signals from the official broadcasting media from Russia, pretty much Russia Today channel. I started seeing some patterns there that apparently were showing that the president of Russia was trying to send a message to the United States, and apparently I was correct, because the day after we saw that Vladimir Putin decided to extend the humanitarian pause in bombing in Aleppo, in Syria, and in exchange saying to the United States that that was a chance for the United States to really demonstrate if they were into really accomplishing the commitments that they reached I believe, like 1 or 2 months ago on how the Syrian conflict could be solved. So yeah, I believe that this overall will have an effect of de-escalating this very nasty and horrible tensions due to that aspect in Syria. And apparently I was correct. I consider that maybe the latest evidence came just hours before the closing time on Friday, because of this very big rally on cable, for example. So that is why I decided just to keep it that way. I was considering maybe moving the stop loss below 1.2, because I was thinking that maybe we could have a gap to the downside. So I decided to continue running the risks. I deliberately didn't update on time this because I really wanted to leave you the option of deciding on yourself if you wanted to run above the average risk. As I've been saying, trading this in this moment, due to the strategic events, it is higher than the desirable average risk So just wanted to let you know that I honestly believe the latest news on that conflict in Syria is that apparently some rebels, the way they call it rebels, I really don't know if the radicals or not or whatever, apparently are using again chemical weapons. So this is a very complex problem there, and I really don't know how that will end up being fixed. But the what will define if it is fixed and the way it is fixed will be if actually Russia and the United States could sit down and agree on something, because it's the only way that they can finish that problem. So what I expect in this week is that we will continue having pretty much the same level of risk on trading, but a little bit smaller. And that's everything that we need, just a smaller risk to be much more confident on holding this riskier trade that is longing the pound. That's the only thing that I needed. Just a little bit less risk in order to be confident to continue monitoring this trade this week. I still believe that this 1.2 level has the long-term conditions to stop the sell-off on Brexit, on the Brexit sell-off in pound. I believe that the Brexit thing will end up having another democratic. And it was commented by the next Prime Minister of the UK that maybe it is necessary to have another referendum on Brexit in order to try to give a little bit more certainty on exactly how that Brexit, if it happens at all, needs to be, etc. So what I believe, and the more time it passes, I still see that it will be very difficult to pull the trigger on the Article 50 and to have a Brexit. It's impossible to have a Brexit next year. So the more time it passes, the more chance and time the non-Brexiters will have to reorganize and maybe regain popularity, and maybe eventually it would be acceptable to simply rule out Brexit. I really don't know what will happen there. But the thing is, as long as the Article 50 is not triggered, and actually maybe that wouldn't change a lot of things, because the businesses are being done exactly the same way. They have been done for the latest years. But if the markets realize that maybe Brexit, the triggering will be much more in the future than in March, the volatility will tend to shrink and the pound to recover. So I honestly believe that taking a little bit of risk out of the table on this escalation of speeches against Russia and the United States, and this potential diplomatic long-term non-Brexit solution that, in my opinion, the more time it passes, and that is why the Prime Minister wanted to trigger Article 50 as soon as possible, because the more time it passes, the tougher it will be to trigger it. So I believe that it will be inevitable. I really see now that Brexit is really hard to happen. In my opinion, I don't think that's in the long term the best thing for the UK, but well, apparently the pro-Brexiters weren't capable of executing this in a decent time frame that would allow to have the popular support. Now there are increasing fears in the UK population that maybe voted for Brexit, that maybe they are seeing that actually this will have a cost, this will have a pain during some years, and maybe they don't like that scenario, right? So yeah, I'm a pro-Brexit supporter. I believe it's the best thing for the UK, but yeah, the more time it passes, the tougher it will get to have it done. And this will help the rally on pound. Besides, even though if Brexit ends up happening sometime in the future, the most likelihood thing is that we need to have a retracement in cable in order for the bears to have a much more decent price to continue shorting this. I am eyeing at least the 1.3 level as a minimum acceptable retracement in cable. So yeah, I was commenting on Friday that I decided not to close this because for the current shape of things, I couldn't rule out that maybe this was the latest trade that I opened during this year. So if I decided to close it beforehand and actually the pound starts moving up, maybe I wouldn't feel comfortable to open another trade in the next 2 months. And in any case, this trade is correct. It has a very, very, very strong potential in our favor. So yeah, I was analyzing during the rest of Friday the different scenarios, and I decided before having this rally to have that trade opened. But what I was trying to figure out was if I wanted to switch or not the stop loss to remove it from the 121 to below the 120. But this latest rally simply answered my question. It was not necessary to move the stop loss. Hopefully, we won't have any aggressive gap against us in this Monday opening. So I just wanted to update you that I believe that it was pretty much it was much better to upload a video because this explanation was quite long. In this week, for the ones that follows me in the Dukas Copy webinars and the binary.com webinars, I don't know if I will be able to broadcast the 5 days in Dukas Copy because some stuff that I need to accomplish this week in my time zone. So if for some reason you don't see me broadcasting every day, just don't panic. I will be on Monday. That's a certain thing. I will broadcast on Wednesday, but the rest of the days on Wednesday, remember that I broadcast both with the binary.com webinars and the Dukas Copy webinars. What I am not sure is if I will be able to broadcast on Friday. And well, on Tuesday and Thursday, I'm not sure. But the things that worries me is Friday, and you know why, because we have the non-farm payroll number, etc. So I will let you know through my webinars, and if I won't be able to broadcast on Friday I will leave very specific scenarios on this trade in any case, that from now to Friday we don't have a convincing movement in our favor. Well, the non-farm payroll number could have a strong role on how this plays. So I will let you know through my webinars or here my YouTube personal channel how I would play it, and if I decide to move the stop loss or whatever. So just wanted to let you know that. I wish that you all had a wonderful weekend, and remember that in some hours I will be broadcasting for Dukas Copy, and I expect you there. And remember to trade safe, be safe, and bye-bye.